Hey guys, it's Mrs. Kirchhoff here. For your assignments this week, you are going to complete a pear deck about the story The Lottery. So you'll click on this assignment, open it up, and get to work. After you've done that, after you've read the story and completed the pear deck, then you are going to work on this assignment right here. So I wanted to go into a little more detail about this. This is your screencast on symbolism and mob mentality. So I'm going to get into the details of this in just a minute so you know actually how to do it. But I want to review some of the content so you know what you're going to be putting into this assignment. So let's start off by reviewing a little bit from last week. You completed a pear deck on symbolism. So this may look a little bit familiar to you. We started off last week by looking at all of these different images. And, symbolism is not just important in literature, it's also important in our everyday life. Um, I know some of you guys are driving, maybe you've taken driver's ed already. How important is the symbol of a stop sign, right? The color there, it just means pay attention, stop, be alert. It catches our eye. Um, I was working on this assignment and my son popped in a little while ago and he knew pretty much all of these symbols on the screen. Maybe he didn't know exactly what they were, but he was familiar with them. So we see these in everyday life. They're important and they're significant to us. They have meaning. So as you know from last week, a symbol is a word or an object that stands for another word or object. So you can see here in the picture, this is a dove. Often doves are symbolized as peace and tranquility. So animals can be symbolic as well. A symbol is usually something that can be seen with the eye, or maybe it's not visible at all. Maybe it's more of a feeling. So, for instance, when you see the colors red, white, and blue, you often think of the idea of patriotism or America or being loyal to our country. And I talked about that already. So we see a lot of color symbolism in life and in literature. So, for instance, the color yellow, right? We saw the color yellow on that McDonald's sign. They're doing that on purpose, right? Often the color yellow gives us joy or happiness. It makes us feel hopeful. So perhaps McDonald's is trying to bring up some of those feelings for us as we visit that restaurant. Other colors like pink, usually a heart, is symbolic of love and romance. Um, Blue, right? Going to the beach, seeing the water, seeing the ocean, we get that idea of peace and tranquility. So we see color symbolism a lot. Um, Purple is huge, and you'll see purple a lot in literature for symbolism representing people of royalty, right? If you have a lot of money, or if you're noble, or if you're royal, those characters are often wearing purple. So a few more colors here. Green is really significant. If you remember on that first slide, the recycle sign and the arrows, green ties us back to the earth, right? Being responsible and environmentally friendly with nature. We often think of that when we see the color green. So I wanted to get into a little bit of literary symbolism with you guys. Shakespeare was really good at using this in his plays, and I know you guys read Romeo and Juliet last year, forever ago, right? But if the audience in the Globe Theater, who was watching this play, if they saw a character crossing a bridge, they knew that that character was going to have some type of new beginning or change in their life. If the story started out in summer and then all of a sudden the plot jumped ahead and it's winter and everything is cold and it's frozen and dying, maybe that's significant. Maybe there's going to be a death or a character is going to die or pass away, or maybe there's a sense of hopelessness there. So we see these types of this object symbolism and color symbolism come up a lot in literature as well. And even when you're watching TV, I know most people are using streaming services and you don't watch a whole lot of commercials, but if you do happen to watch a commercial or even just in the movies and the shows you watch, be on the lookout for symbolism. See if characters are repeatedly wearing a specific color. See if you constantly have an object that comes up. Um, and be on the lookout for that because it is there and it does happen. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead here. Next, I wanted to talk about mob mentality. So this is the idea that people are influenced by crowds or by large groups of people or their peers in society to adopt certain behaviors. So have you ever had your parents tell you that if everybody was jumping off a cliff, you'd do it too? Right? Because you're kind of following along with the crowd. That's what my couple cartoons that I found are getting at. So the first one on the left here says, I don't know where we're going, but from the look of this crowd, it's got to be good, right? So this idea that they're following along with the crowd and they're just going along with the flow, right? It's got to be good. Everybody's doing it. And then little do they know, like back here, that they're going to be jumping off this cliff ahead. Then over here, as they're jumping off the cliff, it says, yeah, I wonder why anyone would ever want to think for themselves, right? So it's a little bit of irony there as well, right? Of course, we need to think for ourselves. Otherwise, who knows, we could be jumping off of a cliff. So I know that you saw a lot of this last year in English 9, whether you had me, Macmillan, or Baker in Animal Farm, right? Think about all of the animals just kind of like going along, going with the flow, never asking questions as the pigs just kept becoming more and more corrupt and unjust. So we see mob mentality come up in the lottery as well towards the ending. So if you're watching this video and you haven't read the story yet, if you haven't completed that pear deck, I'm not going to spoil it for you just yet, but you will see mob mentality come up in the story. And the author is trying to get us to question, is that right? Is that okay? Why are people just kind of going along with what everyone else is doing when clearly that mentality is wrong? So it definitely brings up that question to us. So I'm going to exit out of the screen here, and I want to talk to you about this presentation that you are going to be putting together for this screencast. So right now I am talking to you guys, but you cannot see my face. You are only seeing a video or a recording of my screen. So that's what you are going to do for this assignment. You are going to take a video, but you're not going to be recording your face. You are going to be recording your screen. So I'm just going to start by reading this off to you guys. For this assignment, you will create a slideshow that connects concepts from To Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice and Men, and The Lottery. You will find an image or picture that represents a symbol in each of these literary works. Then you will find an image or picture that represents mob mentality in each story for a total of 6 slides. After you create your slideshow, you will click on the Screencastify link and record yourself talking about your images. The recording is of the slides on your screen and not a video of yourself. And then I will not be, I didn't put this in there, but I will not be sharing these videos with anyone. The only person that will see them is me. And it's a lot easier than you would think, you guys. And, no need to get nervous because I can't see you. So I want to show you, if you click on this link here, I've already got it open. This is what you are going to create. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There are 6 slides, and as you can see, you're going to find an image or a picture. You can search for this online. If you have a good idea of something in your house, you can snap a picture of it and upload it. You're going to find a symbol that represents something from To Kill a Mockingbird. So I know that you didn't read that with me this semester, but I know everybody read it last semester. And I'll give you an example that was discussed among the English 10 teachers. So this is our example, you can't use it. But if you think back to Kill a Mockingbird, in the character Mayella Ewell, so she's on the stand at Tom Robinson's trial, and her red geraniums come up. So one thing we know about Mayella is the fact that her home it's really run down. She lives next to, the dump. It's not in good shape, and yet she keeps these these red geraniums alive, right? So this is symbolic. This is important to us as the reader, right? Red is a vibrant color. It's a color that catches our eye. It causes us to be alert and attentive. Flowers are often representative of rebirth or growth. And so she's keeping these flowers alive because she has hope. So these flowers are a symbol of rebirth and something yet to come. And so that's significant to us because Mayella never loses her hope that her life will improve. Her life is going to get better. So think back To Kill a Mockingbird and think of it could be a color, it could be an object that comes up in the book. But I'd like you to find an image that represents that that symbol. You'll copy and paste or you'll drop that image or that picture here. And then in your Screencastify or in your screencast, you will discuss essentially why did you pick that image? What is it symbolic of? If you're not typing any text, you'll explain the picture in your video recording. So you'll do the same thing for Of Mice and Men. So I'm going to give you an example from the beginning of the story. Again, you can't use this one, but in chapter 1, when we first met Lenny, we talked about how he's described in animalistic terms, and he was being compared to a bear. So that is symbolic. That's important. Bears are animals, right? They're something to be reckoned with. They're a powerful force. Bears are large, and they're instinctual. If they're facing harm, they're powerful and they can be hurtful if necessary. And so we can connect all those ideas that we associate with bears, and we can tie them in with Lenny. Right now, we know Lenny is you know doesn't doesn't have the intent to harm, but if he's in panic mode, he's large, he's powerful, he's going to protect himself. And so we see that connection between Lenny and the bear. So what I'd like you to do is find some other type of symbol in the story of Mice and Men. Find an image that represents that symbol. You'll drop the image here. You'll upload the image onto this slide. And then again, in your screencast, you will discuss that image. So last up is the lottery. I'd like you to find a symbol in the lottery, and it could be an object symbol. There are definitely color symbols in the story as well. You'll drop that image here, and then you'll discuss it in your video. You guys get the idea. So the next 3 slides are about mob mentality. So you'll find a picture that represents mob mentality in To Kill a Mockingbird. And I'm not going to give any specific examples because I don't want to take away from what you guys will be coming up with. But essentially, it's this idea, you're doing something because everyone else is doing it. And we see characters who sometimes, they have to, they feel obligated to go along with this. It's the ultimate peer pressure, right? It becomes hard to say no. But just because you've always done something, it doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it right. So these characters are participating. They may be participating in an action because it's just easier to go along with what the group is doing, what the group is saying, rather than to speak up and voice their true opinion of what is actually right. So think about To Kill a Mockingbird and think about when we see that mob mentality happening. You'll do the same thing for Of Mice and Men. So we see certain characters in the story who are just going along with what they're going along with what the group does or what the group says, not because it's the right thing to do, but just because other characters are doing it and they feel compelled as well. And then finally, you'll wrap this up by finding an image that represents mob mentality in the lottery. So, of course, you'll have to read the story first to do this, but it should be very clear when it comes to mob mentality in the lottery. And so, one thing I wanted to bring up when it comes to mob mentality, sometimes we have to go along with what the group is doing in order to keep others safe, right? The greater good is at stake. And so, right now we're in quarantine. We're trying to flatten the curve and stop the spread of this virus. And so, we have to do certain things. We are expected to stay at home in order to keep others safe. If we do go out in public, we have to wear a face mask in order to protect ourselves and protect other people. And so I wouldn't really call that mob mentality. I would call that um, doing something for the greater good, or maybe it's a sacrifice, maybe it's a little bit unpleasant. That's different than mob mentality. So mob mentality is kind of when you lose control and you're hurting others because you don't want to speak up and voice your opinion. You're doing it because everyone else is doing it. So I hope that explained the connection between the images and the slides here. If you have any questions about, you can email me or contact me during office hours or drop in on our Zoom. But I'm going to go back here now to this assignment. So once you've completed this slideshow, right? Once you've gone through, you've put in all your images that you want to use. Then you're going to click on this Screencastify link, and you're going to record your video. So it says, please create a video where you discuss the symbolism and mob mentality in To Kill a Mockingbird, Of Mice and Men, and The Lottery. Instead of using the webcam on your computer to film yourself, you will record your screen. To give yourself some talking points, you will find a picture or image that represents each of these concepts, insert them into the provided slideshow. You will have 6 slides total. So I kind of walked you through that last part. You'll have that set and ready to go. So what you'll do is you'll just turn on your mic. It might ask you if you'll allow this, go ahead and confirm. And then once you've turned on your mic, you'll just click record. And then everything that is happening on your screen is being recorded. So I won't be able to see you, but any tabs that you go to, your voice, those will be recorded. So you'll click record, then you'll jump over to your slideshow. You'll click present and you'll talk to me about the symbol pictures that you chose and the mob mentality pictures that you chose. And that's it. It should be pretty short and sweet, you guys. So once you're done, you'll probably click like stop sharing. Like for me, I've got this little stop sharing button at the bottom. So you'll probably see that pop up. You'll click stop sharing, and then the file will get dropped into a Google Drive folder on my end. So then once you've completed your video, if you could just go back here, make sure that you turn this in. Please make sure that you turn this assignment in. At this point, I'm only looking at the assignments that you physically clicked that turn in button, and I'll be able to see your video and I'll be able to see your slideshow. So I hope this helped answer any questions that you might have on the screencast. It's pretty straightforward. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm just recording my screen and my voice. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. And I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. Go Bears!